It wasn't pretty, but nothing is in the AFC South as the Houston Texans pulled off a fourth straight win, 20-16 today over the Indianapolis Colts in Indy to improve to 7-5. They were just a game out of first place in the AFC South. I'm Paul Gallant. This is the Gallant Says podcast. Hit it.
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people are.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
Do you feel there's been a consistent theme with the interceptions?
I think every interception really has a different story.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to say.
You got f***ing grow, mother. Are you kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi! Welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast, live on Sunday, November 30th, 2025. YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and, of course, on Twitter. Available after the fact wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review the Gallant Says podcast. The Houston Texans went into Indianapolis and took down the once vaunted, once best in the AFC, Indianapolis Colts, 20-16 in a game that certainly left a lot to be desired, didn't it? Already seeing comments to open things up, talking about Nick Caley, the offense, strange play calls, bad game management, lots of penalties in this game. And all of those things are valid to bitch about. All of those things are valid to gripe about. However, they did win. You got to win your clunkers. It's not about how you do it. It's not about style points. This isn't college football. This isn't the era of the BCS. You just got to make it into the playoffs and put yourself in the best position to make the playoffs with 5 games left in the season. The Texans' playoff chances are in a pretty good spot with where they're at right now. We'll see what happens with today's game between the Steelers and Bills. It is 0-0, 9:46 to play in the second quarter, so we'll keep you posted on what happens in that game. They're the first team out in the AFC, but they're a game back of the Jaguars, and thanks to another AFC South win, they're going to be in pretty good position should they actually draw level with the Jaguars from a win-loss record. The Jaguars are in first place in the AFC South right now because they technically have a better division record than the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, lots of games left. The Colts still have to play the Texans again, and they have to play the Jaguars twice. But if you want the reasoning for why it's the Jaguars who are in front in the AFC South, it's because the Jaguars' conference record is 5-2, and the Colts' conference record is 6-3. And from a win percentage perspective, 6-3 is worse than 5-2. Texans are 6-2 in the AFC. They are 4-1 in the division, and if they had the same record as Jacksonville or Indy right now, they would be in first. But obviously, Jaguars and Colts have to play each other twice before the end of the year, and the Texans still have one more game against the Colts, this one at NRG Stadium. Feel good about this. Feel good about this. Even if it's just for a moment. I understand the temptation to get pissed about Nick Caley and the offense, and for good reason. What the fuck is this Cade Stover cat? What the hell is up with the Cade Stover tush pushes? What the hell were they doing at the end of the first half? They didn't even try to kick a field goal. It led to a Hail Mary at the very end. Huh? What are you doing? Lots of things to gripe about. Don't do it. Don't do it quite yet. You just got to beat teams like this, and your defense did a good job. I think it was a B performance by the defense today. A few too many plays downfield from Daniel Jones and Colts receivers. To their credit, they were very impressive throws by Daniel Jones. They were very impressive catches by Alec Pierce and Josh Downs. The Texans defense did what it normally does. Enough for this team to win the game, assuming they score a decent amount of points. We'd like more than 20 points. We would. Might have even been 19. We're not 100% sure if Kaimi Fairbairn made that extra point attempt. Ugh. Lots of things to be annoyed by. Lots of things to be frustrated by. All I'm telling you is, ultimately, You play to win the game. That's right. I'm throwing a Herm Edwards cliche at you. You play to win the game. I know a lot of people were thinking with C.J. Stroud back in that the offense would be more explosive. It definitely was better. I don't think there's any debate on that front. I think C.J. Stroud gets a C to C plus for his performance today. There was good. Nico Collins, best receiver on the field, was the most used target on the field. A game-high 10 targets, 5 catches for 98 yards, and he also had that very cool reverse toss that he ran in for a touchdown. Texans should run that play more in the red zone because they're bad there. Stroud also worked the ball to Jaden Higgins, who had a good game, 5 catches for 61 yards. He worked the ball to Dalton Schultz, who continues to pile up receptions, even if none of them are for a whole lot of yardage. The guy is pretty damn consistent. 7 catches for 55 yards for Schultz. Higgins, it was 5 catches for 65. Stroud spread the ball around, extended plays on a level that Davis Mills cannot, broke some tackles, actually got an illegal contact called when the Texans were in the red zone because of extending a play. He wasn't perfect, but on third downs, I thought he was pretty good. Hit Nico Collins on a 21-yard gain on 1 third down. Drew that illegal contact that I was talking about. Hit Dalton Schultz and Xavier Hutchinson for first downs on third down. Hit Jaden Higgins for a first down as well. Yeah, there was a sack. He did drop back rather far in the pocket, but was able to escape the pressure. Only sacked twice today. Offensive line's doing a lot better, at least from a protection perspective this year. And there were a couple of situations where it was 3rd and a mile, where Stroud didn't really have much of a chance to convert. Steelers leading, by the way, 6-0 over the Bills, 8:09 to play in the second quarter. I don't know how they scored, kicking the extra points, right down the middle. It is 7-0 Pittsburgh Steelers. Daniel Pena, 9679, says Money Mills would have blown out this team. What are you fucking talking about? What are you fucking talking about? Did you watch the second half of Texans Bills? Or was it past your bedtime? Are you 5? What are you talking about? We're not doing this. We did it as a joke because it was Texans-Titans and there was nothing to talk about in the week leading up to the game. It was a C to C plus performance by C.J. Stroud. The interception right after the Texans had that 4th down stop was bad. The throwing the ball past the line of scrimmage with the Texans back to their own goal line, also bad. But I thought this was, for Stroud's first game back in a month, a good effort on the road in a loud place against a Colts defense that's forgettable. It would have been nice to see the Texans offense step up a gear after Sauce Gardner was helped off the field with whatever injury he suffered. It looked like a pretty serious one. Colts gave up a lot for him. 2 first-round picks and a wide receiver to bring in a corner in the middle of a year. I would have liked to see the Texans offense do more after that point in time. It didn't. Running game was meh. A lot of power plays to Woody Marks. I don't think that's working out so well. Maybe use Nick Chubb for those play calls. But Stroud, in this offense, took what was available, actually did what Nick Caley is asking him to do, even if he's not a big fan of it. Death by 1,000 cuts, lots of throws over the middle of the field, lots of sure completions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It just happened over and over and over again. Those quick little throws that he would throw to those receivers who would generally be wide open over the middle of the field. That's what you're supposed to do in this offense. Might be frustrating if you're C.J. Stroud. You want to make big plays happen. You try to make a big play happen, it gets intercepted. You don't want to see that too often. But I thought this was a solid day at the office for C.J. Stroud, and I think that Stroud is clearly better than Davis Mills. I think that if you are saying that Davis Mills would have been better today, that you are just trying to fuck with me. Truly. I don't believe you for a second if you are actually saying Davis Mills would have been better today. Because generally, the people that are saying Mills should have been back out there, and this has been happening on the game watch party that we did earlier today, and it's happening right now, you're not coming with much. So I don't take you seriously. I just don't. I don't think you have a good argument as to why Davis Mills would have been better today, especially after how the Texans offense looked in the second half today versus how they looked in the second half on Thursday. So, solid day at the office for C.J. Stroud. You can't separate him from the offense's struggles, though. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with all this Cade Stover stuff. I guess you don't feel good about your fullback, Jacob Johnson, so you put Cade Stover in the shotgun and you're running the Stover Cat with a tight end out of the shotgun. You also had 2 Cade Stover tush pushes at the end of this game, and I'm really struggling as to why the Texans made that decision. It's 20-16. You go for it. Sure, you could theoretically continue the drive, and you could get into the end zone in the red zone, which is something you don't do very often. But a field goal would have made it a touchdown game. You won by 4. You're fortunate the Colts didn't drive down the field and score, because a touchdown would have given them the lead. And with the offense the way it is, and with how unbelievably lackadaisical they were at the end of the first half, would you have felt good about the Texans' offense ability to answer a theoretical Colts touchdown with one of their own or a field goal drive? I wouldn't have felt great about that. So I don't know why they went for it on both of those 4th downs in a row with the same fucking play call both times. Just very unimaginative. You're making the guy that you think is your best player on offense after Nico Collins, CJ Stroud, not be a factor in a play where if it's not going to be CJ Stroud under center, well, you know what's coming. Whether it's Stover out of the shotgun or the direct snap, Stover Cat, we'll call it, a variant of the Wildcat, or the Stover tush push, you know what's coming. And do you really think that he's going to do well on that play? I think the Colts are thinking twice about ever putting a tight end under center again with that weird play that they did with the motion for Tyler Warren under center. He muffed the snap. I don't know if they were trying to do a fumble rooski or what, but Jonathan Taylor was able to do nothing after recovering that fumble. To me, that's a lot like what they were trying to do with that Cade Stover thing. I don't get that, and I really don't get what they were doing at the end of the first half, you know? I don't. Again, Randy said the Stover push tush worked twice. Well, it did out of the shotgun, but it didn't work on those 2 4th downs at the end of the game. Fuck it. Don't run that play. The Eagles are good at it. You're not good at it. You're not good at it. The offensive struggles, you got to get away from the Woody Marks power runs, and you got to be lined up correct. I saw some people blaming CJ Stroud for this. This is not accurate. The illegal formations that the Texans are being called for, that's on Nick Haley, but that's also on every single player who is called for an illegal formation. You are supposed to talk to a referee before every single play to confirm that you're in the right spot. This is something you learn at the high school level. Maybe you forget about it. Maybe you were never taught it at the high school level, but that's really basic shit. And legal formations, you get called for 2 of them, the first 2 drives. Could have been 3 if not for a timeout. What are you doing? It's amateur hour stuff. You can't have that happen in a big-time game against the division rival who at the time was in first place. 0 for 2 on 4th down. Rough. One of them technically is a Hail Mary attempt at the very end of the first half. 2 for 5 in the red zone. Just 2 touchdowns. I mean, goodness gracious, this red zone offense stinks. 2 for 3 in goal-to-go situations. And I think you could make a solid argument that the best red zone offense for the Texans on Sunday were Indianapolis Colts penalties. There were illegal contacts and there were holdings that gave them 2 first downs, I think, in the red zone. Really, of all the things that happened offensively in this game, Stroud feeding Nico Collins was important. It was great to see because it didn't happen as much as you wanted to when Stroud was healthy earlier. And you also had that little toss sweep that the Texans ran to Nico Collins. After that, Defensively, how did the Texans look? I think it was good. I'll give them a B. They held Indy to 3 for 10 on 3rd down. They held Indy to less than 300 yards of offense. Will Anderson did not have a sack, but he was a problem. He created havoc all game long. He's your best defensive player. Daniil Hunter had a deflected pass at the line of scrimmage. Those two make it difficult. I did think that they would get to Daniel Jones more. Just one sack of Daniel Jones and his broken fibula. Jones had some really good throws in this game, but seemed like very often when the pressure was bearing down on him, he didn't have the ability to really give the Colts a prayer on those plays. And Anderson was the biggest, I think, pressure giver in this game. I thought he played very well for a defense that, again, I will give a B for the game. Rather quiet day for Derek Stingley. That's a good sign. They were scared to throw it his way. He did have the deflected pass towards the end, but a very silent day for him. Daniel Jones, 14 of 27 for 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. Some of Indy's best plays were really impressive, both throws and catches by Daniel Jones and Indy's wide receivers, whether it was Alec Pierce or Josh Downs. Jonathan Taylor, he was effective, but he was not a game wrecker. Great job by the Texans to hold him in check. This is a guy who has really incredible numbers against the Texans over the course of his career, averaging nearly 6 yards a carry going into this game. And I think 1,000 yards in, 8 games or so? 3 catches for 36. He did have a big catch and run. He did some things, but he didn't beat you. You contained him as best you could. Right now, I think there's a strong case to be made that Taylor is the MVP if the Colts' record at the end of the year is the best in the AFC, and Taylor would win it if they were to do that, I think, or at least he'd have a chance to. Is there really one quarterback who's standing out above everybody else? Matt Stafford and the Rams lost today to the fucking Panthers. Drake May and the Patriots. Do you really think Drake May is going to win the MVP? So I think there's a chance Taylor gets it. And Taylor was solid, but he didn't kill you. So that was great. Defensively, Jalen Petrie had a couple of key deflections. He's got that concussion helmet on. Nice to see him out there. Had some nice tackles, too. Henry To'oTo'o laid a Tyler Warren out on one play over the middle. Kalen Bullock had that bad pass interference penalty, but he also had a deflected pass. Aziz Al-Shaair got hurt. The Texans defense hung on. He had a concussion of sorts. Did not check back in. We'll see if he misses next Sunday's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to need to have Al-Shaair against the Chiefs. But they hung in there against a Jonathan Taylor, who was not getting the ball nearly enough early on, in my opinion, from Shane Steichen. They held him in check enough to get the dub, to keep the Colts offense from scoring a lot of points. B effort by the Texans defense today. Game management before halftime is really the big issue I had. I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. They let the clock run. There was no plan, no urgency. You end the half with a Hail Mary attempt instead of what could have been a 64-yard field goal attempt in 2025, which is definitely makeable now. Fairbairn has a career long of 61 yards. It was indoors today. You know, the Colts were not opening up their stadium because there's snow outside, and they didn't kick a field goal for whatever reason. I don't get why they did that. I don't get why they didn't kick the field goal instead of going for it. Back-to-back plays with the tush push at the very end. I don't understand what that was all about. More slop. 9 penalties, 85 yards. Come on. You had an illegal formation on a kickoff, for fuck's sake. Come on. C.J. Stroud's interception was gross. And the refs did help the Texans out, even though it was a game where the Texans got penalized 9 times for 85 yards. I made the joke, you know you've arrived when the refs are rigging things for you. They did rig them for him, it seemed. I don't know if Kaimi Fairbairn made that extra point. It did not seem like he did. Let's get to some of your comments, which you can join on YouTube at Paul Gallant, on Twitch at Gallant Says, Instagram at Sports Gallant, Facebook at Paul Gallant Sports, X at Gallant Says, at Gallant Says Pod. Let's start off with Instagram. Jordan says the offensive coordinator sucks balls. There's some bad play calls. John Father says the Stover Cat doesn't even sound right to begin with, so that was doomed to fail right from the start. Maybe even on the middle school level it wouldn't work. Yeah, it wasn't a great idea. Definitely not a great idea. What else do we have here? Let's read what's going on the TikTok. Debo comments, Texans about to take over the AFC South in the next few weeks. Marcus Johnson says the Texans truly have an elite defense. Yeah, I mean, today's just a ho-hum effort. They were good. They weren't great. Debo says, all I have to see every week, if the Texans get 20 points, they have a great chance to win. Akia Marquez says Nick Haley has to go. This was not a great game for Nick Haley. And while I like that little reverse play that they ran for Nico Collins to score the touchdown, I really didn't like those Stover Cats. I know they converted it once, but I hated it. Really hated it. Zachary Barra says, just keep winning. That's it. Totally correct. Rob Castillo thinks the Texans should have kicked the field goal at the end. I agree. I totally agree. Debo said CJ stayed in the pocket a lot better this game than he had in the past. Yeah, there was one play where he dropped back a little bit too far for my liking, but I agree with you there. What else do we have? Debo said, I jokingly said, put in Mills when we're in the red zone. Please make sure you're saying it jokingly. Wild 1997 says, just joined. Have you already talked about the non-field goal call before the half? I don't get it. You know, there was a moment in a Texans-Colts game where I think it was the first game of the 2022 season with Lovie Smith running the show. And Kaimi Fairbairn had a chance to kick like a 55-yard field goal, and they didn't kick it. And I was like, what? Fairbairn's a good kicker. 64 yards is a long way, but it's a higher percentage play than trying to throw a Hail Mary. I suppose the fear is, all right, well, what if Fairbairn's short and the the field goal team, which is generally bigger guys, can't cover whoever the Colts have back deep to receive it? Yeah, that's a possibility. They could return it all the way for a touchdown. But on the last play of the half, you're not giving up bad field position to the Colts. That's the fear, is that your field goal team, say Kaimi Fairbairn is short, and I imagine he'll still get it out of the back of the end zone, can't cover against a potentially 109-yard missed field goal return for a touchdown. And to me, that's just wild. Like, what was the logic behind not letting Fairbairn kick it when he has a career long of 61 and everybody's hitting long field goals this year? It's like you're not paying attention to the trends of the league. You were allowed to doctor the football before a game as a kicker for a lot longer than you used to be able to, and a lot of people are of the belief that that's the reason that we've seen so many long field goals this year. So I don't know why they didn't kick the field goal before the half. What's up, Trill? He says, yo, Paul, I was here for the Bills game. How about them Texans? How about them indeed? Robert Hernandez says they were flat. Flat, I think, is extreme, but sloppy is fair. Wild thinks it was a mistake to cut Dameon Pierce. I don't know about that. I don't think Dameon Pierce is doing much in this offense. Even though I like Dameon Pierce, I think he's got talent. This offense doesn't work for him because he's not as patient of a runner. He's a run as hard as I can, as fast as I can, at a hole, and figure it out from there kind of running back. User 683-164-911-3896 says we have a defense that can beat anybody any Sunday. We have an offense that could lose any Sunday. Yeah. History and stuff says the Bullock PI ball was uncatchable. Still, he tackled him. You know, like they're gonna call that every single time. What other comments do we have? You can join along on YouTube or Twitch. Bunch of comments here. Daniel Pena says Money Mills would have blown out this Colts team. Stop. He was joking. Okay, good job, Daniel Pena. You were just joking with me. Ghostly Ranger says the offense looked better with Stroud. I never felt absolute despair when we step on the field like I normally would. If you want the Texans to target Sauce's backup, you have too much faith in Caley. Yeah, after Sauce Gardner left the game, I thought there would be a chance the Texans would open things up. I am assuming that Sauce Gardner was probably following Nico Collins. That was probably the plan for the Colts going into the game. Collins did get the ball thrown his way 10 times, more than anybody else on the field, which is good to see. So they were trying to force it in there to him, but I thought the offense would do a little bit more when Gardner left the game. Ghostly Ranger points out Stroud was really good on those stick routes, and he's reliable again. More comments. Super Serial 1 says, you were in a pissy mood the whole game. Yeah, man, I had a lot of technical issues today. So my internet died in the middle of this game, and I know no one cares about that, but I do a watch party during the game, and I was spending about 20 minutes trying to figure out the internet. Then my TikTok camera kept on shorting, and then the antenna that I was watching the game on also kept on screwing up. So eventually I was able to fix some things, and eventually the internet just started working again. But yeah, I was a little frustrated during the game about things that had nothing to do with the game. And I'll be honest, I'm a little hungover today too. It was a friend's birthday party. My parents, my mom, my stepdad are in town. Girlfriend's parents are in town. So we had a good old time yesterday. A little tired, not going to lie. But we look clean. We look like we've showered today. How about that? How about that? Ghostly Rangers asks, is this offense worse or better with Chip Kelly? Well, there was that report that came out from Ian Rappaport, and I haven't read it yet, about how the Raiders and Pete Carroll didn't let Chip Kelly run the offense. And honestly, that sounds a little bit consistent with the Pete Carroll era. Shane Waldron's offense, Brian Schottenheimer's offense, pretty similar. I think he's a bit of a control freak, Pete Carroll. So it probably would be on par. It would be different. Kelly got a lot of money, but it doesn't seem like the struggles of the Raiders were necessarily on him. Not a lot of talent there. They're a mess of an organization with Mark Davis running the show and Brady as like the consultant, but part-time owner / consultant. And I think they trusted name brand going into this year with Kelly, with Pete Carroll. So to answer your question, I think it could have been better with Chip Kelly, but no way to know for sure, he said as he kind of tap danced around it. Brandon Hallam says, let's climb that Chiefs mountain now. Yep, big game. Big Orange Network asks, do you think there's a lack of trust in Stroud, considering they went to 2 tush pushes? No, I think they think that play works. But it's a sign of desperation in these short yardage situations that you're going to a tush push and you're putting a tight end in the shotgun and directly snapping the ball to him. The red zone offense, it's just a rough operation. More comments here. Ghostly Ranger said, I wanted a player or two targeting the sidelines and then to decide from there. I don't like wasting all that time and just deciding to Hail Mary. Yeah, they had no plan at the end of the first half. None. Fairbairn can hit long field goals. Give him an opportunity. But they moved so slow, and I guess they were nervous that if they left enough time on the clock that the Colts could march down the field. But, I mean, that's a lack of faith in your defense. You should be aggressive with the idea that your defense is going to be able to take care of most situations. So why were they? I mean, they ran 2 plays in a minute, and they were short of midfield there, and they had already burned a timeout in a red zone situation to avoid getting called for an illegal formation, and they didn't even score a touchdown coming out of that. It was bad game management. And I mean, maybe it's partly because CJ Stroud's back for the first time, but when you're on the field and you're the quarterback, you got to know to move things a little more quickly, and maybe that's on Nick Caley. Maybe Nick Caley told Stroud, hey, slow it down, but they should have been a lot quicker right before halftime. King Hefe, 99, says, if the Bills lose, do the Texans take their spot? Yes, because they have the tiebreaker. Right now, it's just a matter of the Bills are 7-4, and the Texans are 7-5. Texans winning percentage is .583. Bills winning percentage is .636. It's legitimately just that. Right now, the Bills with 1:04 left in the first half, 3rd and 8. Josh Allen just threw a pass over the middle to Gabe Davis, and he's going to be short with about 56 seconds. It's going to be 4th and 3, 4th and 4 for Buffalo. We'll see if they're able to get it, if they go for it. Jimbo Chu says, I don't mind the rush push a few times in a game, just not when you should take the points. Totally agree with you there. If you're going to try something new offensively to make things happen, yeah, try it. But doing it back-to-back plays when if you kick a field goal, you make it a 7-point game. It's hard to imagine they had a whole lot of faith that they were going to be able to get that play, right? Like I had a tough time with that one, and I think a lot of you guys out there did as well. That one was tough. What else do we have here? TikTok 8Scott8 says, I don't understand how the offense doesn't get better when you have to practice against the best defense. Well, these practices aren't as intense as you maybe think that they might be. I mean, right now, think how far the Texans are into the year. You're almost in December. Tomorrow's December 1st. These practices aren't that hard. They're not beating the shit out of each other, you know? So the idea that you're going to get a lot better from practice, I don't buy it. Defense might know some of the plays that are coming from the offense, but like the real way an offense gets better is based off of continuity and actual game reps. Practice is just not the same thing, you know? Ghostly Ranger asks about a quick hurry-up Texans offense. It's tricky to do that all game long because if you go 3 and out, you put more burden on your defense. When you're doing that and you're not actually making things happen, you potentially make your defense exhausted by the end of the game. The Birdman77 asks, how's Aziz Al-Shaair? That's a good question. A very good question. We might take a look at what was said in the Texans press conference in just a moment. Let's see what was actually said there. Let's see. Let's take a listen. Can I hear anything here? Yes, I can. All right. Well, let me get to the YouTube side of things. La 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 la. Let's bring it to the podium after a Texans victory over the Indianapolis Colts. Here is head coach DeMeco Ryans in just a moment. Paul, you want your good press conference? Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. First off,
is this muted? Of course it's muted. Oh, there we go. Not muted. Technical issues on the Paul Gallant side of things. Who would have thought?
Always all glory, honor, and praise to our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. We're just, wow, so thankful for the opportunity that we have. Thankful for our team and the way everybody came and battled. Each and every man in this room played a part in finishing this game the right way and putting us on the winning side. So excited to get a divisional win versus a really tough opponent. Colts are a great team, and I'm proud of our guys for the way we came and battled and the way we won the game. We finished strong, man. It's our defense. They stood up and made a play. They were in the same position last week, 4th down. You know, you got to make a play there. You know, in the red zone, guys made a play. Offense had to go close it out. Knew we had to run the football there. They knew we were running the ball, and we did what we needed to do. I thought Woody, you know, did an exceptional job there at the end of the game, closing it out, get the first down, and just the way he turned out yards, the way he protected the football, he did a great job all game. Yeah, it just goes to like how we finish. I know I continue to say that, but that's the difference. Like we, protected the ball. We had the one turnover. Nobody blinked. Like we came back the next drive. We were able to go down and score. So everybody sees our team like we have that true resolve. Like no one play is going to get us in the tank, and nobody's going down. Everybody understands it's a 60-minute battle each and every time we step out there, and we're playing full 60-minute games now. That's the difference.
There we go. Oh, yeah. More from DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, I thought CJ did a really nice job coming back. We're missing a lot of time. I know some throws he would like to have back, but overall, thought he managed the drives really well. We drove down. Of course, we want to score on some of those. We get down. We had to kick field goals, but overall, for him coming back, not having played in a few weeks here, thought he did a really nice job of if this is where he's starting, it's only up for him. So I'm excited to see how he continues to progress.
If this is where he's starting, it's only up for C.J. Stroud. That's pretty interesting from DeMeco Ryans. It's only up. Do you buy that? I think there were some good moments in this game. I think he did a good job of feeding Nico Collins. That's something that's been a little bit more difficult in weeks past. I didn't like the interception. I do think it was a solid game for C.J. Stroud. I'd give him a C. More from head coach DeMeco Ryans after the game.
Yeah, look, it took everybody defensively. I mean, they have great players. You talk about Pierce Pierce and Downs, two outstanding catches there.
Those were some incredible catches by those two.
And Jonathan Taylor, I would say, one of the guys I really love to watch. He's an outstanding player, outstanding back in his league. So I thought our guys did a good job up front, trying to bottle him up and stopping him as best as we could. Guys tackle well. They got a couple explosive plays on them, and that's what they've shown. They've done that. Really good players making good plays. But when it came down to it in the crunch time, third down, fourth down, that's where we were our best, and that's when we needed it, and that's what allowed us to be in the position we're in today, winning the game. Oh, yeah, it was a nice play. Nice play designed by Kaylee. Really, those guys worked that all week, and it was a really cool design, but better execution by the guys who were blocking for Nico to allow him to get in the end zone. So, I mean, Nico had a couple plays. Right? We tried to get him the ball a lot. He shows up anytime we need him. He shows up for us and make plays. That's what he's been doing. So excited to see, multiple guys, Higgins making plays, Nico, Hutch making a big play for us. We got a lot of different guys, a lot of young guys making plays for us. That's team football. That's what it is about. We played complementary football. Our special teams felt like we covered much better today in our kickoff phase. We made some really nice plays, punt. We did just overall, like that's what you hope to have happen, right? And that's what it takes in these divisional games, especially, like all three phases are clicking, playing together.
Man, that was a rambling answer just talking about Nico Collins. The play to Nico Collins was great. I don't like the Kate Stover cat. I don't. And, yeah, you can talk about complimentary football, but when the coaches are making weird game management decisions right before halftime, come on. That's going to theoretically kill you if you go up against a team that's on another tier. And I think now that we've seen what this Colts team is, Daniel Jones had some nice moments today, and the Colts receivers had some nice moments, but this is a Colts team with a quarterback who's got a broken leg. You got to make sure that the offense is in the best situation possible. And before halftime, I think they lost 3 points. Going into halftime, DeMeco said, well, we're getting the ball to open up the second half. Cool, but if you had kicked a field goal, you could have been getting the ball to open the second half after having kicked a field goal. And you should have kicked the field goal when you were doing the Stover tush push back-to-back plays on third and fourth down. Kick a field goal, it's a 7-point game. Those two field goals with the kicker's damn good in Miami Fair, man. It's a 10-point game. It's a 10-point victory. And you're not even stressing on that last drive. Jason Silver asks, I don't know if I 100% buy that, but if this is the floor, this team's in great shape. I think that's going back to DeMeco Ryans saying only up for CJ Stroud. How much better can the offense be with him by season's end? Because he does have to get back into a rhythm having been gone for a month. I don't know. I don't think it's going to get that much better, but I know it's better with Stroud than it was with Mills. I know some people are arguing otherwise. Nah. Birdman77 asks, how close was Kaimi Fairbairn on that extra point? I think he missed it, bro. I think he missed it. More from DeMeco after the game.
Everybody just remain disciplined, take it one at a time. That's our message. That's all we can control. We control. It's one game at a time. We took care of business here. Now it's on to the next one. I like that we're winning. That's the most important thing, right? I like that we're winning games, finding different ways to win games. Like, that's what I like about our team. So you just build that confidence up, and you know, like, whatever type of game that we're in, you know we can finish it the right way.
I also like that they're winning. And you have to keep on reminding yourself that they won and that they've won 4 in a row after a game like this, where there's a lot of frustrating things, there's a lot of slop. I think very often this fan base gets a little spoiled, a little greedy, perhaps entitled, undeservedly entitled, I think you could make the argument. A win's a win. Wasn't pretty, but they got it done, and they're in a pretty good spot as far as the playoffs go. More from DeMeco.
Yeah, all our guys in the back end played great for us. I mean, Kamari, Stingley, Bullock, all the guys done a really good job in the back end. Petrie made a lot of plays on the football today. So it's never about just one guy. It's how all those guys play together.
DeMeco's not giving me much to work with in this press conference. I'm a little bored, not going to lie. Come on. Say Indianapolis is a shithole. Do it. Indianapolis, godforsaken hellhole. It's fucking snowing outside.
Yeah, you see the toughness that Woody and exhibits. Like, he had a ton of carries in college. He's used to carrying the load, but he did an outstanding job of just pushing through. That's what you talk about, the injuries, the getting nicked up in the game, toughing it out, coming back, battling, and wanting the football at the end of the game to close it out. Like, you can't say enough good things about Woody and how he's just grown, how he's done a great job throughout this entire year of carrying the football for us. Yeah, it's really the difference, and the key to me is just it's remaining focused. It's remaining locked in no matter how critical that situation feels. It's going back to your discipline, your fundamentals, your technique, the communication, right? And it's not making the moment too big. It's being locked in the moment, executing, doing what you've been practicing, all week to do. And you're going out and you got to go make the plays. And that's what we're doing. We're making plays at the end to win.
Oh, my God, DeMeco, come on. Come on. Say Daniel Jones is bullshit. Say Shane Steichen's your bitch. Do something. Do anything. Entertain me.
For me, man, it's continue to instill confidence in all our guys. Like, I believe in each and every one of our players. I believe no matter what the situation is, like, we're going to put them in the tough spots because I know they can make the plays. I trust the training that they put in, the work that they put in behind the scenes. I know what they're capable of. And so I love these guys, trust what they're doing, and I'm proud to be their coach. All right, appreciate it, guys.
All right, so that's DeMeco, his press conference earlier. And we'll get to CJ Stroud, and then we will get out of here. React to whatever Stroud had to say. Stroud's first start after missing 3+ games. Missed most of the game against the Denver Broncos, where he suffered the concussion early. Another game to keep an eye on. Chargers up 14-7 on the Las Vegas Raiders. Texans played the Chargers before the end of the year. Oh, my God. J.J. McCarthy threw one of the worst pick sixes you're ever going to see. That was terrible. Seahawks look awesome in those old school 90s uniforms, 70s, 80s uniforms. It wasn't even J.J. McCarthy. It was some other guy. Brosmer. Never even heard of that fucker. Here's C.J. Stroud after yesterday's game. Yesterday's. Jeez, Paul.
What's up? Yeah, I mean, there's always, that little thought in the back of your mind, like division opponent, it's a big win, big time game, good opponent. So, I just think in those moments, that's all week, but it's just your preparation, how you prepare. So, I thought, as a team, we prepared the right way, we practiced the right way. So, I think we went out there, execute at a high level. There's a lot of things we can clean up, but I thought for the most part we moved the ball, pretty well, and punched the ball in, in the end zone, twice there, and then getting good field goals and timely drives, I think was a good thing. So all that goes to the preparation.
Good preparation this week. Okay. It's a solid day for the offense.
I think it shows that how we're three-phase team where our special teams is really good, defense is really good, offense is really good, and when one lacks, the other pick us up, and I just think it's super dope that we're able to encourage one another, good play, bad play, and then move on and see guys still make plays after things happen. So and I'm just super proud of these guys, and we got to just keep it rolling.
The special teams are good, but I mean, hey, let your kicker kick a field goal at halftime when everyone's hitting 60+ yard field goals.
Yeah, I definitely think the offense as a whole we gotten better. We found our identity, I feel, and I think we're starting to play well together. It's a lot of new guys playing together this year, so we're starting to get that chemistry down and that connection, and you can see it, playing and play out, and route detail and play calls and me getting the play in, organization of the formations and everything like that. So I think we're doing a better job at that, and then the execution is picked up.
We found our identity. We're starting to get that chemistry down. I wonder what he thinks the identity of the offense is. Obviously, he's been death by 1,000 cuts. He's brought that up before.
Yeah, Woody's a dog, man. I just, it's an honor to play with him, a blessing, and I just, very happy, that he's on my team, and I thought, our O-line did a really good job putting a hat on a hat and moving guys, and Woody, Chubb did a really good job. So, it really starts with the run game. We got to be able to control the line of scrimmage and be able to run the ball. So I thought they did a good job at that. Yeah. I can't tell y'all. What you think I told him? Maybe.
I have no idea what was just asked there, so you're as in the dark as I am. More from C.J. Stroud.
I think, the way, Kales called it, with play action.
Call Nick Caley Kales. So that sounds like an endorsement of the offensive coordinator. More C.J. Stroud.
With, us being able to run the ball early downs, in previous drives. And I think, that just opens up the floodgates for that last drive. And then, the toughness we have up front, with Jake, Ed, Big Trent, Ty, and Tay, our tight ends putting their hats in there. So I thought, and then, Woody taking care of what he has to do, take care of the ball, pushing forward, and our receivers as well. So, just all 11 guys, doing their job at the best of their ability and, trying to just, ice the game. And, it's always fun to do that.
It is always fun to do that. You're right, CJ. More from C.J. Stroud after the game.
I would say, early on I was a little rusty. I thought, they really didn't give me no like big plays, you know, like they were taking a lot of that stuff away. So just I thought I was very disciplined, you know, check downs and, you know, getting the ball to where it had to go. You know, and then of course the interception sucked. You know, I got to just take care of the ball and, you know, put Hutch in a better spot and just flatten him out. You know, but other than that, I thought I played really good. I thought, you know, every opportunity.
Thought he played really good. I'd say solid.
I had, you know, with the ball, I thought I, you know, made the right decision. You know, a couple plays I want back, but I thought, you know, I did a really good job of, you know, taking what the defense was giving me. You know, I think the type of team we have, you know, I don't have to be Superman all the time, and you know, I gotta just do my job each and every play. And I'm not gonna be perfect. I'm never gonna be perfect, and I trust myself. I know my teammates trust me, and that's all that really matters.
Interesting answer from Stroud right there. He thought he played really good. I don't have to be Superman all the time. We'll react to that tomorrow. Because I see a lot of people pushing for Davis Mills in the chats. I think y'all are crazy.
Yeah, I think winning on third down, you know, being better on first and second down, and then, you know, scoring touchdowns in the red zone is, you know,
some things we've been saying for fucking years.
That's really just the key to victory every week. You know, if we want to win games, that's what we got to do. You know, if we look back at some of those games, you know, we were on the goal line in the red zone and not scoring touchdowns and settling for field goals. You know, so, you know, that's something that we just had to change, and I thought we've been able to do that the last couple of weeks. I thought, you know, when Davis came in, he did a really good job at that. I thought the play calling, you know, with the play and the routes we're doing has been great. Like, we had the one today. Guy knocked it down, but, like, Dalton wide open, you know what I'm saying? So things like that will start, you know, to, like, you know, come more and more evident, you know, as we be able to run the ball down there and, you know, be able to score touchdowns in the red zone is really key.
Yeah, it is really key. Please score fucking touchdowns.
Does it take one play to get
Yeah, it takes a couple, you know, like you get a little windy, a little tired because you ain't been out there in a minute. But I thought the first drive, you know, we drove the ball down really good. Second drive, you know, we had some penalties, got to fix that, you know, our formations and stuff. And then after the turnover, I just got to take care of the ball. Like, that's plainly on me. I can't put my team in that position, and I got to be better there. But, you know, I thought other than that, I thought, you know, I put the ball in the right positions, thought I was accurate. And, you know, I thought my O-line did a really good job of giving me opportunity, giving me time, you know, to sit in there and, you know, deal. So I thought route detail was great. Thought Hig played really good, and Nico and, you know, the rest of the guys. So we just got to keep rolling.
To his credit, I mean, or not to his credit, to the offensive line's credit, they have done a better job of protecting him. Just sacked twice today. A couple of plays where he made things happen with his feet by escaping. But I thought they've been better of late. Is this it for CJ Stroud? That's one more question.
It's all right.
Just, you guys are now finding ways to close out these wins that slipped away earlier this year. What's changed, and how good does this feel playing your best to try to close out this?
Yeah, like I just told them, it's just like, you know, scoring the red zone is key. You know, making 3, you know, 7. You know, and our defense has always held us up. So, like, you know, I don't know, they always will say, you know, they want to clean things up as well. But, like, as an offense, you know, I think that's the key is, like, if we want to win games in the NFL, you know, you got to score in the red zone, you know. And
yeah, no shit.
I thought these last couple of games, you know, our offense has been able to do that at a higher level. So, you know, and even like today, like, even not like having a touchdown, you know, it's not like super cool, but it's like we're driving the ball down, you know, and then we're punching it in, and that's the best feeling in the world. So, you know, as long as, you know, we're doing our job that way, and if it takes 40 plays or it takes 2, like, it is what it is. So I think, you know, just being on our P's and Q's and executing at a high level is why you see a little bit of difference. All right, thank you.
So that's CJ Stroud, the head coach, the quarterback of your Houston Texans. Let's read some comments before we get out of here and post this thing in podcast form. I'm going to do a little short, in a nutshell recap of the game after the fact. 75 Court Jester says, CJ, you are not Superman, sir. I think he knows that. Thrillbin Spoke says, love where the Texans are at. Yeah, they're in a great spot playoff-wise. See if the Steelers can hang on to this lead over the Bills. Second half just started. Aaron Rodgers just got sacked. Fumble. Return for a touchdown for the Bills. So they're up now 9-7 on Pittsburgh. Rodgers is slow getting up, but they're in a good spot. They are in a good spot. One game out of the lead in the AFC South. Colts and Jaguars play each other twice the rest of the way. Texans also have another game against the Colts. So it should help the Texans out. More comments. He played well. Thrillbin spoke about Stroud, his first game back. Started slow. Overall, played well after missing a month. He also says the Mills conversation isn't even worth having. I'm with you right there. H-Town Hard Hitter says, can you rate C.J. Stroud's headwear? Is this like Wu-Tang or something? I have no idea what this is. No clue. It's like a looks like a bishop hat next to two mounds. I don't know. It's not a Yankees or a Mariners hat, so I'm sure a lot of Houston fans are okay about that. It is Wu-Tang? Oh, wow. Look at me. I'm smart. Boner Jam on TikTok says Stroud is cooked. Nice handle, dude. I don't know if he's cooked. I'm not going to give you that. Hevitt's Toy says, I thought CJ played good enough when we needed to score, but they took a lot of time. Yeah, right before halftime. Hated that. Danielson says, waiting for the game where the offense picks up the defense. LOL. Yeah, we might be waiting all year for that. More comments. Archerdamus Pick says on Instagram, no difference in the offense. It sucks. CJ does the bare minimum to make you still have hope. Yep. I think you're just continuously telling yourself, well, it's going to get better at some point. It just hasn't happened yet. John Father says, for every reason, every time for some reason, every time the field is shortened for us in the red zone, we don't do a damn thing. It's caused mostly by the play calling during those times. When Nico ran out of bounds, it scared the hell out of me. LOL. Yeah. Yep. Let's wrap up our thoughts with some positive thoughts. Wasn't pretty, but you go on the road against a Colts team that is having a really good year, that offensively is doing a lot of things right with Shane Steichen as the head coach, and you held Jonathan Taylor in check. He did have a solid game statistically, but he didn't take it over. You, for the most part, took care of business on defense. A couple of big plays were allowed, but they were really just impressive plays by the Colts. It's hard to fault the Texans for those big plays. I think the offense for C.J. Stroud's first game back had its moments. I think Stroud feeding Nico Collins is a thing to build off of. 10 targets in the game, something we didn't see a lot of when Stroud was healthy. Jaden Higgins made some contributions. Dalton Schultz made some contributions. Like, there's some good with the offense. Twice C.J. Stroud sacked. That makes you feel good too. But on the same side of things, I do not understand what they were doing before halftime. I do not understand why they chose to go for it not once but twice with that Stover push on fourth down. They got stuffed twice. Could have kicked a field goal, made it a 7-point game. You go for it. Very ballsy. And it didn't work. Your red zone offense can't put touchdowns on the board. And really, just to go back to one of those last comments, it would be great, so great, if they could actually score fucking touchdowns. But it ain't happening. We'll see if it happens. Enjoy the win. It was a tough watch. AFC South games are generally not fun. And oh wow, Mason Rudolph's in the game for Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see how things go for the Steelers. He's got a mustache too. I'm getting rid of this mustache tomorrow. So this is the last time you're going to see this for a hot minute. We appreciate everybody joining. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe on YouTube at Paul Gallant. The Gallant Says podcast might be tomorrow morning at 7 Central. It also might be later. I might be doing some fill-in radio in Kansas City on KCMO. I'll keep you posted. If I do that, that'll be from 6 to 10 a.m. If I am filling in, we will do the Gallant Says podcast live at noon. We'll talk about this game some more. We'll talk about everything else that went down in the National Football League, Thanksgiving, college football. It's a big weekend. Huge weekend in football. It's also on Twitch at Gallant Says. I would love it if you just follow me on Twitch, but if sub, that means a whole lot to me. Instagram at Sports Gallant, TikTok at Gallant Says. I post clips from the show on those. Do it on Facebook as well. Facebook is a hellscape, though. But hey, at Paul Gallant Sports on Facebook. And on X at Gallant Says Pod. The Gallant Says podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review the Gallant Says podcast wherever you get them. Means a lot. Until tomorrow. At some point, keep an eye on my social medias. I'll tell you when we're going to do tomorrow's show. Until then, so long, farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
And have yourselves a